So let's see how we can get things moving. First I have a look again at the HTML file. It has two SVG rectangles with IDs rect1 and ID rect2 and their start positions, their x coordinates. I already pasted the solution in, and just for fun I will set the debugging parameter to true so that we can trace the trace messages in the Javascript console. So now I reload the page, and here we see the rectangles going, and we also see in the Javascript console the values of the x coordinates as the rectangles are moving. So how does it work exactly? We have parameters that specify the speed. The speed is 50 milliseconds, and we make both rectangles have the same speed. Then we have the pixels by which the rectangles are moving. And the first rectangle is moving in 10 pixels, with 10 pixels, and the other one with minus 10 pixels, so it's a negative delta. Then here we have the initial template. That is the thing that does the real trick as soon as the page has been loaded. We obtain a reference to both rectangles. We do this by the ID function, but we need a second parameter, IXSLT. IXSLT gives us document node of the HTML page, and you don't always need it. I don't understand exactly the rules, but it seems to me that if you are in an initial template, you do need it. So yeah, I found out while trying. Then we have two schedule actions, and in fact they are called right after each other, but the second one is called before the called template that is mentioned inside it is really started. So the called templates are starting at the appropriate moments, but they move more or less at the same time, which is nice. Then we see the parameters, the wait time, the delta, which is positive for this one and negative for this one. And we also have the target x coordinate, that is the coordinate where the record has to move to. And of course the first rectangle is moving to the x coordinate of the second rectangle. And the second rectangle is moving to the x coordinate of the first rectangle. And of course the last parameter is that we pass the reference to the rectangle itself. So here we have the template that is doing the real trick. We see the parameters. We obtain the old x coordinate, which is the x of the rectangle. We calculate the new x coordinate, which is the old one plus the delta, and the delta may be negative, so the new x may be smaller than the old x. And then we calculate a Boolean flag that will determine if the function has to call itself recursively. And its value is dependent on if the delta is positive or negative. And if it's positive, well, you have this calculation, and if it's negative, you have this calculation. And I must say that I'm afraid that you can write this down in a more simple way, but I'm somehow, for some reason, very bad in math. I can do some programming, but math is not my thing. So if you know how to improve me, if you're smarter, let me know. It would be nice to know. So if this flag go on flag is true, we go ahead and we do the real thing. We set the x coordinate of the SVG rectangle. We have to make a string of the integer, because otherwise the compiler will complain that this is not the right type. Of course we do that for the rectangle object. And then we schedule the next iteration. And in fact, that's all there is to know. So yeah, it it's maybe somewhat more code than the earlier examples, but it's not really that hard. So I hope you liked it.